Come on. So. To be there, I guess. There is a flag up on the bench. It's kind of in the dark.
Call a meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Flag up on the bench. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there a motion for tonight's agenda?
Second.
Did you want to talk about what you wanted to amend it with, Brent?
Yeah, I want to, propose. February 9th. It's not with discussion right now. Want to do that, number 15.
Okay. I'm sorry, was there a second?
Yes, second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Move on to public comment. Anybody? Okay, communications, Michelle.
Just still collecting taxes. Today was the last official day for collecting without penalty. I think we've collected just about 10 million of the 13 million. So we're pretty close already to being done. And, oh, we were able to enter into a contract with Adnan Kennels to be our kennel for the dog for Joel to use. So I met with him and he was very nice, very receptive. And I think that's all I have for this month. Yep.
Just for the board's awareness and for transparency purposes, the owner of Adnan Kennel is a distant relative of mine, Bruce Coates. He's mother's sister, who was married to my dad's brother, I believe is how it goes. But I wasn't involved in the negotiations.
Wow, it's a good choice.
Yeah, it's local, they were offering like Mount Morris and I'm like, that's not feasible for us. So called,
Thank you.
he was, yeah, he was very receptive of it, yeah.
Andy?
All right, since last meeting, we've still been after the dead ash trees. Cut a bunch on Cole Road, Ropes Road. We also cut shoulders and ditched all of Cole Road, cleaned all the driveway and letting outlet pipes out. I'll be attending Advocacy Day, March 5th and 6th. I gave Tom, New York State Open Space Conservation Plan is recognized. Great Bend Park is hoping to keep it as it is. We'll be purchasing a mower, which was in the budget. We budgeted or me and Art budgeted for $12,000, so we were able to find the last year's mower. And we were able to secure it for $7,500, saving us $4,481 in the A account. Which I'd like to talk about the resolution that was brought up that Mr. Junji and all the stuff that was asked by the highway department, I guess. I don't know, for lack of a better word, demanded by the highway department to plow. We're willing to give him a 4-wheel drive truck with a plow. And with that savings, we can put a salter on the back of it for him. And get him a toolbox, and that could be his truck. That truck also has a lift gate on it, which is much more usable for him loading and unloading stuff. So we were able to swap it. We would like to swap the 2 trucks and just make him able to do all the plowing, because it says down here in that resolution that the highway department needs to make any piece of town-owned equipment necessary for the completion of buildings and grounds. So I was gonna make that available for him. But in there, it says any piece, which is dangerous because Kevin does not know how to run any piece of equipment. So just want to be brought up to everyone here that I will not let him take a backhoe, an excavator, a roller, a grader down the road to do what he needs to do, because he doesn't know even how to start them, let alone run one. So that should be looked at and changed, I think. But anything that he doesn't know how to run, absolutely he could use. So we'll make that available for him, and then all of the stuff here that he's got to plow and whatever, there's gates locked. Got us plowing tennis courts where there's no tennis nets up. I don't understand that. The courts aren't even maintained to play tennis, so why would you plow the parking lot? It seems like a waste of resource to me. There's gravel roads and stuff that you don't salt, but they want to salt it. I wouldn't salt anything gravel, only blacktop. So if we just make that available for him to have his new truck is that, then whatever you want to do with it, go ahead and do it. Have at it.
Andy, do you have a resolution number there?
24050.
348-050?
Yes. So we'll just swap trucks with them. The mechanics have the 4-wheel drive truck that you usually don't put a plow on it anyways, but we do have a plow for it. Put the plow on it. We were able to find a salter for the tailgate of that truck for $1,705. So you're still 3,000 under the budget for the mower, and then I believe a toolbox that he said would work for him to do his duties, to carry around whatever it is he needs to carry around would be fine, and a crossover toolbox behind the back window of a pickup truck. Mechanics will take his truck or that truck, and then they could fill it full of any mechanical stuff they need when they come on the road to make a repair instead of coming out with cardboard boxes. And they generally don't need a lift gate once in a while, but you know, there's 2 other trucks that have. So I think the lift gate would be much better for Kevin also, and so does he.
Can you explain a little bit?
Picks up heavy stuff into the back of the truck.
Oh, okay.
Mechanically goes down, roll a shelf or whatever he needs to roll on it, push a button, it lifts it up and slide it into the truck. Instead of having 2 or 3 guys to help you lift it in there, it saves on your back and saves him a lot of extra work by doing that. So I just like to be sure that I feel very uncomfortable of giving him some equipment that he doesn't know how to run, and that's him asking. I asked him if he knew how to run a backhoe, a skid steer. excavator, roller grader. He does not. So I don't think that we should be mandating that he can take one. I mean, if right now, the way it reads, he could come say, I need an excavator and take it down the road. That's not very safe, shall I say. There's guys that have been running that thing for 6, 7 years that, you know, takes 10, 7, 8 years to get good at it. And not just having someone that can run a skill saw and not taking anything away from him. He just hasn't had the experience in running. So we're gonna do that unless there's objection. I'm also going through some of this resolutions from I didn't realize that fire hall ice control. It says here, that it's the alternate town emergency operations center. Yes,
Yes.
so we're salting that for the town, is that correct? For the A account, essentially.
We are salting that for, well, if it was necessary to use it as an emergency operations
Right.
center. It's not use that on a daily basis.
It is essential for the above reason that the men in fire hall be accessible at all times. So I'm just trying to learn why we always have salted it, and I wasn't sure why. I thought it was to help the fire department out, but by reading this, it seems like we're helping out the town hall. So perhaps we should be billing the salt also to the town hall for this.
Where's it currently built?
It isn't. That's why I thought it was just
Well, somebody's got to be paying for it.
DB's paying for it and the A account is. I thought we were helping this fire department out. So that's why it was really never really billed. But I was just following past practice, but looking into it, I think that we need to start tracking it. Agreeable?
We'll have to require a resolution.
Can we make
It's a
those,
budget modification.
can we make those resolutions tonight or not?
Do you have anything prepared?
No?
Oh, well, I would suggest that.
Well, all right, so then moving
Prepare
forward.
enough for a future
I'm
meeting.
just asking to clarify. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm doing it right, because I've had some conversations with the comptroller. The road salt that we've been using for the library and the community center is also purchased out of DB. And I have been billing the town for the last 2 years. I haven't been paying close attention, but I haven't seen any budget adjust that the A account gets paid back. Perhaps maybe we'll wait to the end of the year. I don't know. But I have turned in 3 vouchers for, I don't know, close to $1,000 or so for salting those buildings, but it is paid for out of DB. So people outside of the village are paying for the salt that we're using in the village. So I just want to make sure that I'm doing everything the right way. And in the last couple
Can
of
you
years,
turn those into me? I'm sorry, I don't have those. 3 vouchers.
I turned it to John,
Oh, okay.
so he has had them. I'd also like to clarify that in the organizational meeting also, Mr. Moffett asked, or I'm sorry, Mr. Dubois asked Moffett about if the A account was overbilled. And one time he said, yes, it was overbilled by $500 between January and April. And I think he even said, we can look back, if you want, the grass doesn't even start growing until May. So I just want to explain those charges. And you are correct, there was an extra 500 hours charge than normal. But we've added carpet to the first 2 floors of this building. We painted everything in this building. We helped the electrician replace all the light fixtures in this building that year. That was the year during COVID when we were split shifts. So we had 3 guys, 2 mechanics, and then 3 guys working on crew. So they really couldn't be out on the road, especially overnight. So true, there was 500 hours there. Not understanding the reason why, I kind of wonder why, but that's why, because we did all the work in this building, did a bunch of work at the highway department. We also repainted all the horns in the hamlet, painted them brass and redid all that. They were able to take them down and do the work without doing drainage work and tree work, because you don't have a full crew. You didn't have flaggers and all that stuff. So we were in the buildings that whole year, so that's why the charges were higher. These are all the payroll sheets for that, if anyone wants to look. There was also mentioned at the last meeting, a situation about a plow truck that slid into the ditch. And it was told to me that it should have been brought up to the board. I was just following previous precedent that had been sent back in late September, early October, where a code enforcement truck backed into a sign. $2,000 worth of damage, $75 worth of damage to the sign, and I don't believe that was ever sent it to the board. So I just figured the work, that little minor incident of ours that didn't have any damage other than the cost of a tow truck to get it out because I didn't want to flip the truck. Wasn't necessary, but it wasn't also necessary for $2,000 worth of damage to be brought up to the board either, so.
I'm sorry?
I don't remember hearing about that. Code enforcement.
That's all I have for.
Thank you.
Sure.
I had a couple of questions.
Sure.
Did you provide a list of equipment that needs training, what's training is needed, or what training?
Anything other than anything other than a truck. So we train on everything, a tractor, maybe, you know, mowing, with a brush hog, skid steer need to be trained on. Anything else you need to
Is
be trained
that in-house training or is there out-house training?
on. In-house, we will do it. And, you know, seeing who shows the capability of being able to run one and then have them dig holes for deer to start, maybe dig a mailbox hole, some minor stuff, maybe have him do an easy pipe job and work his way up. We've been training the young guy in the big excavator and he's doing a great job in it, so, but he's been running equipment all his life, which is a very short life.
And then you,
He's been at it for a long time.
You had with the resolution 24-050.
Yes.
You think you could put those in writing? for us
The
to
changes?
look at?
Absolutely.
Well, if you could put it in writing, so we
Sure.
look at it, consider, scribbling down as fast as I can.
Yeah, I mean, if you got any more questions, we're just gonna swap trucks and make it available for him. I think the last meeting you were concerned that he didn't have four-wheel drive, so he couldn't do the plowing, but I think Kevin's very capable of running a plow truck.
Well, yeah, just, I think you had a few points on there, if you just put them in writing.
Sure.
and Then we could have a discussion.
Sure.
Andy, I just had a couple of quick things with what you said. Yes, it is true that, many of the, highway employees did do the things that you said. When I was speaking, I believe at the time you talked about, I was referring to the hours that were charged, during 2023 and the list of things that you had. Carpeting, painting, a few other things. I don't believe were done during the first half of 2023.
2020,
Can you just let me finish?
sure.
Then on page 132 of the Town of Mendon Employee Handbook, it says an accident occurs during operation of a town vehicle, the department supervisor must be immediately notified. If there's property damage or personal injury, the sheriff's department should be contacted immediately to investigate the accident, complete a police department report. The driver of the vehicle also should complete an accident report given to the department supervisor, who is responsible for notifying the town supervisor, who will in turn notify our insurance company. Failure to notify the department supervisor may be grounds for immediate dismissal. So that, I believe that clarifies the accident situation that you're talking about.
I'm not sure what you're talking.
Well,
My situation, there was no damage to any equipment.
But it was an accident.
I wouldn't say it was an accident, it slid off the road. That happens on a regular not a regular basis, but it happens more than once.
And to me, if you slide off the road, I mean, there's nothing in here that says what an accident is, but that's somebody going too fast for the conditions.
Or the conditions were icy in a 60,000-pound truck.
I have a question regarding.
No.
I thought, I took it as it was brought up that it should be, that the board should be made aware of the, incident.
Yeah, I was made aware of it and. But I didn't really
But-
feel since the
But you're
incident,
not the board. But wasn't, I don't believe the board was notified of the accident with the code enforcement people. And so if one has to be brought up to the board, I think the other one should be brought up to the board. That's the way I took what you were talking
yeah,
about.
that's what I was saying. Because my incident there was no damage, didn't cost the town anything other than $800 to pull the truck out versus $2,000 worth of damage to the vehicle. There was no damage to anything. Here, the other incident, there was damage to the truck, the town vehicle, and to county property.
Now, obviously you're up mountain roads. Trucks slide off the road. Again,
Yeah, we're set up,
typically,
right.
maybe you could hook up to your trucks and get them out, not a problem, but this time you didn't want to damage the equipment, whatever, so that.
I feel it was safer. The truck was loaded, it was in a ditch at a pretty good angle. I figured let the professionals come and do it and us we probably could have got it out with a loader, but it probably was there and the bad part of probably was probably rolling the truck, so. It was in a ditch pretty good, slid in. It was when the roads were icy, so I mean, send trucks out in an ice storm, it's gonna happen, or an icy situation. Versus in
understand
September,
that-
when it's not icy.
I understand that, what you just read, John, I forgot the page number that you said in, about employee, whatever. But I agree that it should be uniform. We're notified of one, should be notified of the other.
No problem.
And I'll notify anytime something gets stuck from here on out, I guess. Does that include mailboxes and everything that might happen? I mean, where do we draw the line? I mean, if there's damage to equipment, absolutely. If there's not, I mean, I guess we need to clarify.
Maybe that's a good idea. Just looking at it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to Sheldon.
Nothing.
Right.
Planning board met on February 7th. There was a 2-lot subdivision site plan on Topsman. So I think I mentioned this before, this was provided from a previous proposal. It used to be 3 lots, it's down to 2. They held a public hearing, there was no action, there's some interest from neighbors, there's a historic home. It's bringing up a little bit of interest, so we're moving forward. And the second meeting in March, they're studying the end of March. Building comes back. It's also a subdivision on Old Saw Mill. There was no action on taken on that one either. The applicant needs to submit a little bit more people. Continue meeting with the supervisor, code enforcement officer. Or a few things that we're looking at. Or MRD's got the proposal, we'll talk about that later, water night for the sidewalks. I attended a meeting with Don Young, there's some zoning law provisions that we talked about as well. And got the pending the Association of Towns meeting in New York City from February 18th to 21st.
Thank you. Kim?
I don't have anything to report. The zoning board of appeals, January 25th and February 8th were canceled because there's one.
Cindy?
Yep. With regard to the library, all board members have completed their required trainings. The Dropbox that was at Mendon Meadows is still apparently at Mendon Meadows. And it will be donated to another neighboring library. It's a couple of libraries that have shown interest in it. So once that, they get all the particulars figured out, that will be moved. Apparently it weighs 16 tons. I don't know that it's 16 tons, but it's very heavy. The library did receive a grant based on a recommendation from Jennifer Munster. And they are asking for, and they may have already done this, a separate, budget line in the L fund for, before they make a deposit, because it's for specific things like furnishings and equipment. Several kids and adult programs are scheduled for this month and into March. The library did begin giving out solar eclipse glasses at the end of January. They received 2,000 from StarNet grant and 500 from MCLF. And they gave me mine. Find them a card holder I was able to get. And I have a card holder. And they did have some questions and concerns regarding monies that were transferred by the board at our January 2nd meeting. I think I mentioned that to you, John, who's that we had, talked to, Lyle. Because, they were not aware that this money was being transferred. The money was transferred out of the clerk's the clerk's payment funds. They didn't have enough to pay their clerks. They didn't know that was going in. So I'm assuming that you were, Lila.
It's a done deal.
Okay,
If I can interject for a minute.
absolutely.
So the way I described it to her was that you got two $5 bills, one in your right pocket, one in your left pocket. The one in your left pocket, you're gonna stop at the bank and make a deposit to your savings account. The one in your right pocket's gonna buy a gallon of milk. When you got to the store, you took the money out of your left pocket, and bought the milk with the wrong $5 bill. You're still gonna take the other $5 bill and put it in your savings. It all comes out in the wash. It's where the money, it's at the end, at 12/31, anything that's unspent goes into fund balance. And so all that was done prior to that, because they wanted it done before the end of the year, this town board passed a resolution to make those transfers from those funds. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of another, and I explained it to her. It's been explained to the lady who does a lot of the finance work over at the library. It's a done deal. There's nothing to undo or redo or anything.
So they do
It's-
have the money where they need it to be at this point?
Yes.
Okay, they were very confused about it, and I could not explain it to them,
No, that's fine.
and, so I just wanted everyone to be aware of that, and hopefully, then we've got to take care of something.
You betcha.
Perfect. Thank you, that's it.
Don?
I had a
Oh,
question.
sorry.
Now, if that Dropbox is gonna be donated, how, where it's scrapped, or
We-
is there a process
we-
have to take care of?
We tracked it back. The friends bought it.
Right.
Okay.
That was a concern, Brent, but we did the, I
Sorry.
forgot who did the homework, but somebody did the homework and it was purchased with funds for the friends.
Okay, for Environmental Conservation Board, we welcome new members, Jeff Clark and Carol Walton. Anyways, they bring considerable experience, as you know, Jeff was deputy town attorney for a while, and Carol from Washington State. So they definitely know their stuff when it comes to environmental concerns. We reviewed the application that Brent mentioned, that top spin. We had looked at that, like, the planning board did about 6 months ago. One of the things that, again, these members with lots of experience brought up is they talked about silt fencing for soil erosion mitigation. And they brought up different products that they were like, is it our place to recommend different products to be used that are more biodegradable and whatever? And I think they decided, sure, what the heck, but I just, that's the kind of expertise they're looking to bring.
I would hesitate to specify what silt erosion device they have to use.
Oh, this is not a have to, it's a recommendation.
But I would just, I would recommend that it's done to first state DEC standards.
Okay. Okay.
Again, we dealt with the one, Buzzsaw Mill. All of the E-pods were, it's
subdivided property that is bisected by the road. All the E-pods really affect where there's already buildings and not the other one, so that really wasn't really an issue. I also contacted Katrina and just asked to be on the emails for the planning board, and this is a tough month, I know, because we didn't have a BCB meeting last month, so we had to jam in this meeting and get stuff done for the next night for the planning board, so just to kind of give me a heads up, both are for ECB and historic preservation, because it kind of gives you a better global view. Historic preservation, line B8022.4 has $1,000, and I think in the past they've used it for possibly buying plaques for historic homes and whatever, but that they really don't do that much anymore. And they've brought up to me, this is going to be in Rochester this summer, New York Statewide Preservation Conference, 3-day conference, and there is interest in going, and they were saying would there be funds available. Right now there is if you register before or if you register in March, I think it's $150. It increases after that, so per person. So I mean, it would be $150. There's nothing out of pocket because there's no mileage or all that kind of stuff. I just wanted to know what to tell them in February, the March meeting, in terms of if they do pay for this, can it be reimbursed?
They should pay for it and be reimbursed. What they should do is send me an email saying this conference on this day,
Yeah.
at this time, at this location, at this amount of money. These people would like to go, and then we put it a resolution for the town board.
Okay.
Because Sheldon always says, God forbid, there's a traffic accident on the way to the
Yeah.
conference or something like that. You want the town board to go, right? Yes. To attend.
Okay. That makes sense. The only other thing, and this is a little fuzzy in my mind, but Brent, were you talking with Jeff regarding some code? Seems that, I think maybe you, Karen, and Jeff got together and talked about where they felt there were some discrepancies in the code regarding.
There was definitely, there was some discrepancies between two chapters.
Yeah.
138 and 159. We had gone through there and taken a look at it. And this is something that we had talked to Don Young about also.
Okay.
And Don said, since there is currently an application with the APC and the planning board, just put it on the back burner.
Okay.
Until this application is done, so it does not, just sit back.
Yeah, so, and again, it just with a handoff from Karen, they just wanted to say, you know, what's going on with it, so
Yeah, I talked to Jeff and I said, every time I talk to him, I hope we get it to you.
Yeah.
And the next meeting, works we have. One thing I don't know if you were all set. I just, something I thought maybe for 2025, when you're talking about the lady and the 24 meetings. I think, back in the day, I think 24 meetings were on the, second and the fourth Wednesdays, and then they were changed to the first and the third Wednesdays. I don't remember which year, but I sometimes it seems like there's almost, between the ECB meeting on the first Tuesday and then first Wednesday is a planning board meeting.
which is also historic. I mean, that's the same night.
Yeah, so I, maybe we should look at 2025, do we change the
Yeah.
meeting date of the ECB to, so they're not rushed?
Yeah, and considering that their advisory towards the planning board, maybe that extra week. I know Peter did a great job. But anyways, yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, next I guess it's just one more thing I want to bring up, and John and I had some communications about this today, but I was out Saturday night, saw some friends at the cottage, some people I haven't seen in a while, guy used to do scouting, and we just talked about town stuff, and he brought up that he had read in the Sentinel about, building and grounds, and CDP prevention, I was like, oh, I think I would have probably heard of it, if that were the case, but as it turned out, I tracked down people, a copy of the, Sentinel, and in John's updates, he did say that we hired someone. I voiced my concern today, to John, because I don't see why we're not brought in, but he told me that I mean, based on his day-to-day responsibilities, he met with Sheldon, and Sheldon said, you are not obliged to tell the board, and I have no way to question that at all. But in that organizational meeting, we voted on deputy supervisor, we voted on deputy highway superintendent, and that has zero tax implications to the town. But yet, we hired a person, and I would say conservatively, you're talking about $70,000 a year once you get done with benefits and all that kind of stuff. Tax implication to the town, and we don't hear about it, and I hear about it from someone who read it in the paper. I understand, last year, we kind of humped our way through the budget, and there was some consternation. I admit to, we had disagreements on what this position was worth and whatever, but I don't think the answer to avoid consternation is lack of transparency. And I just feel like a fast one was told. I don't understand why. I can't think of any position ever started in this town that we didn't have some sort of say. And again, I'm all for it. I think Jeff's, I may disagree on the, I don't even know how much he's getting paid. That's how little I know. But I hear great things about Kevin. I hear everyone, the worst one gets along great. And I'm all for the concept of building and grounds. We've got a building and grounds department, whatever. But yet somehow it seemed to bypass. I mean, I don't know who else we could come up with. And of course, I would raise all sorts of questions about whenever we hire someone, you gotta post the job, you gotta post it on the board, you gotta, if possible, put it in the newspaper and put it on the website. I don't know if any of this stuff was done. I didn't see it. So anyways, I'm just here. I'm not asking for any kind of action, but I just want to raise my concern that this is how this particular incident went down.
You done?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you're a fountain of misinformation. I gotta tell you, this was discussed at length all fall through the budget. We discussed at the organizational meeting. We don't appoint everybody in the highway department either. And I talked to Sheldon. This has been a something in your claw for a long time. And I'll be honest with you. You seem to have a hard time knowing that tonight was your night to do vouchers when you approved in January 2nd, that you were the guy in February to do the vouchers the first time. You did them at 5 minutes to 7. So the fact that you don't know what's going on doesn't surprise me in the least. I'll go on with my communications. Thanks.
If I could,
Yeah.
if I could just go in there, there's a way to communicate with people without being so condescending.
And you've proven that. Anyway, with my communications, the Huntington Falls Fire Department has hired per diem employees there for daytime hours, Monday through Friday. That is going to affect our contract next year. This whole thing has been, happened because of lack of volunteers, especially during the workday hours, and the fact that the individuals that they're hiring, are per diem employees. So I've asked the village for an estimate on what they think this is going to be and how they think this is going to affect our contract. So because it is a fire protection contract, we are the essentially the fire commissioners for the fire protection contract. And we need to make sure that, quite frankly, that those people who are being taxed for this amount are not being overtaxed, or that there's some level of transparency to those people. And
I plan on meeting with the village and talking to them a little bit more about this, but it is a concern. We put together a committee. We put together their recommendation was for a townwide fire district. That hasn't happened as of this date. And so there are several issues that are when the people in the fire protection district get their tax bill next January, I'm anticipating they're gonna see a pretty drastic change. And they're gonna wanna know why. So now's the time to speak up, investigate, talk to the village. Talk to the fire commissioners in Mendon, because if there is not gonna be a townwide fire district. This town board needs to decide how they're gonna provide fire protection to those people in the fire protection district at a reasonable cost. And if it means putting out an RFP to neighboring fire departments, that may be something we have to consider. Not my first choice, but it may be something we have to consider. We had a surprise inspection from PESH, which is the public, what is it, right? Public employees, safety and health. They did an inspection. I've been in touch with them about some paperwork that they need. They also want some signs over some doors at town hall that's saying that. So I'll continue to work on that. Also, received all the finances from the town clerk for the levy for the town of Mendon. Our buildings and grounds person has been working on the Hamlet lights, which has been kind of a little bit of more of a challenge than we originally thought, due to the age of the lights, who the owners are, who's responsible for what, but we're continuing to work on it. Also, question for Ian. Are we cold patching Route 64 state highways?
Are we cold patching them?
Yes.
If I get a complaint, yes.
So who do we charge for that?
Who's buying the cold patch?
Right.
I'm asking you, who buys the cold patch?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I don't know. We don't, the town of Mendon doesn't buy it.
So the state provides it?
The county does. And they've asked and they know about what I'm doing.
So
No worries.
are there flagman requirements?
No, we get it done. The state has actually asked us to patch for them. They will supply the patch.
Great,
We do the work.
soup.
At the
They
state
will
or the
not-
county? Sorry.
I'm talking to John.
Oh, I know, I was just
I'm talking
trying
to
to
John.
take notes.
And then. But they will not reimburse us for doing the work on our road. So if I get a complaint from a resident where there's a noise, I will go patch it for them.
So the county pays for the cold patch and then the
Sometimes, most of the time, yes.
town of Mendon employees patch the state
Mhm.
highway.
If there's a,
It-
if there's
it-
a resident complaint.
And is it just cold patching or does that include filling in potholes in the good weather?
Cold patching is filling in potholes.
But I mean, even in warm weather, you use
We
cold.
don't mill and use hot material now.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Exemptions, they're due March 1st. So if you know anybody who has an exemption, please remind them to see the assessor's office. Kind of incidentally, I qualified for Enhanced Star this year. Interesting. Stormwater, MS4 reporting, the Talk of the Towns, which everybody received today, has a great article in there. I only got halfway through it. I shouldn't say it was great because I only got halfway through it, but a really good article about MS4, about our responsibilities as a town. And as you may know, I've been talking about stormwater. Brent's been talking about stormwater the last few months. And I think that's good article. I would suggest to the board that they take a minute and read through it, because I think it'll be helpful to all of us. Move on to town clerk's monthly report.
See the third month report for January. 24, return receipts and disbursements in the amount of $14,616.50.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Minutes,
Motion. Minutes of the regular meeting held on January 9th, were presented.
any discussion? All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Finger Lakes Building Officials Association Educational Conference for attendance.
Plans, code enforcement officer, David Jackson, building official education conference, March 12th. Pay not to exceed $860,000.
Any discussion?
Fair play.
This is a annual educational conference that is required. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Vouchers.
All right, got onto the wire, but I will approve all claims on vouchers number 24-082 to 24-130 on general abstract 24-02 in the amount of $455,000, $580.98.
Any discussion?
Yeah, this is my third month in a row. There's a scheduling glitch at the end of the year. That's why I didn't realize it was time. I'm sorry if that totally, I feel it's very insulting for you to throw it in my face. You can vote now.
Well, if you paid attention to the resolution you voted on, you'd know. All in favor? Pass. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next is library abstract.
I'd like to acknowledge library vouchers 2407, 24-023, library abstract 2402, the amount of $7,853.28.
Fee schedule. Set amendment.
Motion to amend the schedule of the change to the public fee.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'll
All
assume that's in line with that.
correct.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Excavation and filling permit application form for approval.
Prepared by code enforcement officer, attorney, the unified town.
Any discussion?
This is something that we're going to talk about for a little time. There's, there's without coming up without a major bill and a minor bill, either time, somebody said. Play plan, would we need play plan review, would we need benchmark so they could see how much is going in there with the change in the floodplain. So just come up with this permit, so without doing a minor and a major, he can get some ideas, he can get some information and decide it's something that is like plan.
We didn't vote yet. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Number 12, Highway Department purchases.
Resolution authorizing purchase of air conditioning parts for Public 91. For group D at cost not to exceed $3,120.64 paid from the town to the pay. 530.
Any discussion? I feel like we need to increase the amount that the highway superintendent can authorize for parts.
I would agree.
Just the cost of everything has just skyrocketed over the last 2 years, and this would eliminate these types, not all of them, obviously, but some of these parts that, you know, are very costly, but can be handled by the highway superintendent without town work.
Then we have a resolution for that next month, or
Sure. Sure.
is that soon enough? I know that
Yeah, I think
parts are horribly expensive.
updating some numbers on our policy
Thank
would
you.
be a good idea. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next are drive tires for dump trucks.
Right. 11.5 Goodyear drive tires for dump trucks. And later, and last not talking, $3,860.05. The name of the company 5130.4. And both is lower than state bid price.
Discussion.
Yeah, I have a question. Bear with me, Andy, because I'm new. Based on the independent purchasing policy, it does suggest, or it does say, 3 written quotes for anything 2,000 above. So I see you have your 3 written quotes with the purchasing information. Vendor 1 is Sedan Tire, vendor 2 is also Sedan Tire. Is that because there's not 3 vendors available to get 3 separate quotes?
Possibly, and didn't you say that they were off the OGS contract in there also? Did it say that? Did I hear you say that?
So, yes, so two of them have the state bid contract. Lewis Tire does. Which you didn't recommend because it wasn't the best price.
Right.
You recommended the one for $3,113 because it was the best price. But that isn't a state bid.
But it's lower than state.
It is.
Right.
How about best value? Like, I know nothing about tires.
Right, so I know Art likes to go with Saddam a lot. They're in stock, got a good reputation with them. So, and he's been using those tires quite a bit and likes the performance on them. We recap what they call the case, so you can recap those tires 2 to 3 times, well, depending on who you are and how the case is. I believe it's only twice, but those cases have been holding up really well. So we're getting a 3rd recap out of them and they're able to do it because we don't damage them as many miles and through all the rough rocky terrain that all the other trucks do. So we can get those cases are holding up. So we're getting another recap off of them. That makes it. Those are new because you can only recap them so many times. And after you do that, you gotta get rid of them.
And then I'm just wondering. Vendor 3, Lewis Tire, I see the quote here, but that number total is $4,410.44. But on the purchasing information, the amount is $4,073.52. Is that just a clerical error? I'm just wondering why the numbers don't match.
It could be, what was it again? Lewis Tire was,
So it's $4,410.44.
right,
But on the highway purchasing thing form,
that Art wrote up, yeah.
that doesn't match what the
Oh,
quote is from.
Could be just a clerical mistake.
And I'm sorry,
No,
but
that's fine.
I have to do this in my daytime job.
Makes sense. Don't appreciate it. look into the clerical.
Thank you for answering those questions. I appreciate that.
Any other comments? All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Next, we'll move on to New York State County Highway Superintendent Association 2024.
I'll make a motion to improve the attendance of highway superintendent Andy Savage at the New York State County Highway Superintendent Association 2024 day being held March 5th through 6th in Hilton, at the Hilton of Albany. All necessary and legal expenses to be paid, not to exceed $215 to be paid from account A5010.160.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you. Declaration of surplus.
Make a motion to the following items as surplus and authorize the disposition. 1999 72-inch Ramsey mower sold at auction. 2020 16-inch zero-turn gas mower sold at auction. Various items from pickups and dump trucks that various scrap items.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, any opposed? Thank you. New number 15, which is the proposal for professional services for sidewalk extension project at the town. For discussion. Tom, you wanna,
Yeah, I'll walk
Give
you
us
through it, guys. The quick rundown is we met with a supervisor in front, in end of January, just kind of took a look over the sidewalks on Route 251. You know, that's kind of a high priority for you guys going from Hamlet up to Upper Hills Way. We looked at some of the grade area in there, and we think that we can possibly accommodate on the south side, maybe cheating some of the road section and building up a raised sidewalk. So the proposal in front of you is draft, and I just wanted to get you guys something to consider and think about. We're looking at preparing some advanced concept plans, reviewing it with the DOT, getting their buy-in, if they're good with it. Meeting with the county procurement group, Villager Construction, Campobello, to see what their thoughts are on the budget, the structure. And then just kind of walking through the process of what the state will need, minimum requirements for actual design plans. So imagine they'll want some maintenance protection of traffic. Do they need all the bells and whistles, or can they get by with kind of a hybrid plan? I know you guys have some ARPA money that you'd like to use up towards this. In speaking with Villager Construction, because they have the county bid in regard to excavation and construction. We talked about, let's say that this DOT, as we start this process, DOT says, all right, it's going to be 4 months for us to actually do anything. Well, that may get us tight on schedule for using those funds. Are there other parts of the project, other sidewalk sections that you want to do? And talking to them, it sounded like they would not need a lot of detail plans from us, that they could maybe do some layouts and actually get you guys into construction sidewalks. And that would be, yes, it wouldn't be, you know, necessarily a connection piece, but it'd be kind of chunks that we can work to fill those gaps with more design plans and proposals. Yeah, that's kind of where we're starting the process on this.
Sorry, I was writing something down. Yep. Chunks. Are you talking in the same area? Chunks in the same area?
No, this would be chunks off of state roads. This would be more on town roads where you guys have the control. You guys can say, hey, look, we're by the fire hall, that's our right of way. We want to put in sidewalks here in the future. Let's work on putting it there, or we get a spot further off from the right of way, the DOT would let us construct it out, kind of tuning into the road in the steep embankment area.
I think with the problem with taking on some areas that quite frankly don't go anywhere is that it's from a liability standpoint, like Joe. It can be, yeah. Sidewalk that goes to nowhere. I think there was something in the Association of Towns a couple of years ago about you know, sidewalk that doesn't go anywhere, and then somebody steps off that sidewalk, now they're in the shoulder of the road, and if something tragic ever happened, how could be helped by it? So that would be my biggest concern about that type of
Understood.
situation.
What the DOT actually does is they literally just kick you into the road, New York State, and so we are working on a couple of sidewalk projects with them. And one of their discussions are, what if the neighbor does not want a sidewalk jumping? And they literally said, then you come right up to their lot line and go 90 degrees out to the road and there you have it. I think it's a process. I agree, you don't necessarily want to build a sidewalk to nowhere, but I think you guys have a vision and you have an end plan to create the sidewalks to fill in those gaps. So we're talking about availability of funds now and availability of actually getting it designed and getting this. So we have to be careful so that you don't have a sidewalk. Exactly. But it can be a sidewalk to the fire hall driveway entrance, right? It can be in the middle of the road, similar to that. We can do a destination.
Assuming it's less arduous than the DOT, New York State DOT permitting process.
Correct.
Because specifically what I'm thinking is that one section of Miles Wood Road, north of 51 down behind that track. Then that would not be a sidewalk to nowhere, that would be a sidewalk behind that track.
Right.
And one thing I also want to bring up that, I know what Tom's talking about, I just want to make sure everybody else is here. With going with Villager, this is the county or the state bid. So they have already, very similar to the OGS buying the tires, they've already gone through this competitive bidding process. So I'm gonna say, it's gonna save us 4 to 6 weeks on the process.
Easily, right? We show them a concept, they come out here and start construction. So. Depending on terrain, depending on how it looks, we could be advancing sidewalks in the spring, depending on what it's.
The harder ones, some of the harder ones with the retaining walls will be probably farther down the road that this gets us involved in, it's us spending money.
I just wanted to say, if the sidewalk is in the public right of way, it doesn't matter what the neighbors say or what the landowner says.
Which allows you to kind of kick it back out to the road, right? Right now, they're walking in the road, and you're giving them a path to get out of it as long as they can.
And I do have to say, it's been a very long time since I've walked that section. But walking that section of 251 heading up towards Mendon Farms, it's can be a pretty harrowing experience. I hope that Jake was surprised that that wasn't 35 miles an hour because the cars were not going 35.
No, they don't, but that's the problem.
So it's sidewalks there, but already.
Mhm.
And I think this also, this is, we're looking at the cedar for the entire product there. Also. right?
Yeah, yep.
This out here.
Yes, for future phases.
Future phases, it's really to kind of start the process of what we're doing is this value added, because you guys have already done the survey for the project, so we're using that and kind of building our base file.
So in here, additional services, environmental review, that's really, that's above.
Correct, if we get into historical preservation. Phase 1, phase. So we would be, but
So how time sensitive is this as far as getting approval from the town board? Is this something that if it waited until the next meeting is gonna delay us at this point? Or you got enough stuff to do between now and the next meeting?
you guys can consider it and we can talk about it at the next meeting. It's not a critical path. kind of started those conversations anyhow, because I know it's an important project for you guys, so. If you'd like us to kind of pause and wait till you guys. Make a decision, that's fine.
Brent, do you have a recommendation? I don't mean to put you on the spot because I know Tom will leave some this. I think Friday afternoon or
Right.
something.
Yeah, we're not looking for.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing that I see here is just a draft on the top. I mean,
Yeah,
I understand,
Which is why.
but other than that, I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean-
comfortable with what's outlined here. I mean, we've talked about it a good bit, and I know that we're only suggesting talking about it more, put it on paper, but it needs to get on paper. And the sooner that we move forward, the sooner we can get stuff on paper and then start to show. You know, I'm sitting here going, geez, it's only February, but construction season goes fast.
And Villager probably is already lining up
Yeah,
jobs,
correct.
correct? I mean, assuming we didn't get anybody under the state bid. I mean, I guess, I mean, I looked through here, I know Sheldon, you reviewed it, Brent reviewed it. I'm comfortable going forward. You could do a resolution this evening?
Everybody else is on, yeah. Feel more comfortable reading it over a little bit more.
Sheldon's comfortable with the contract.
I am.
Resolution would be pretty basic to move forward to authorize. I'm gonna do a contract with MRP for this February 9, 2024 proposal.
I think we have a question here. I said, this is my first time seeing it. Number 7 on page 2. Where it says review grading cut bill and then slash first retaining wall.
So on 251, there's an existing retaining wall that is facing, that it's not totally Finley, but it doesn't look good. It's kind of listing towards the south. So the discussions have been maybe removing that wall completely and backing it up with soil, kind of filling in that area. The one challenge with that is it's in a flood zone.
Do you mean versus here, not verse?
Yeah, probably in the south.
Okay, okay, now it's making sense, okay.
Is that down towards the intersection, the retaining wall is failing, or is it up the hill?
It is down towards the intersection.
Yeah, so
Right
I
across
haven't
the-
had anything with that property yet.
So being in the flood zone, we'd like to kind of help them out a little bit, maybe reduce some of this flooding around the septic system. So that was kind of the evaluation of the trade-off between getting rid of the retaining wall and railing and installing the middle and making that a better situation for people walking along the sidewalk as well as walking down the trail. If the gentleman's name, I have it.
Mike Graves.
My grade, yeah. Or life safety guy.
Yeah, I said.
Thank you.
And you, Brent, you put forth the resolution, correct?
Well, I said, I just think it would be that simple, but yeah.
It's up to you. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I just wanted to make sure I understood where we were.
I just didn't know if we were moving, we're discussing, I know it's the first time I've seen it.
Yeah, if you guys want to wait, I'm totally fine. I don't want you to feel pressure. If you want to add more to it, if you want to still get bring conceptual light up to discussion. No time. Time is always a piece, right? You take it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Is, back to public comment, anybody? Motion for adjournment,
Second.
all in favor? Aye, thank you.
Let's see, Wednesday, 10.
That would be great.
So get out of your system, John.
I'm